Hey wonderful people, I hope your holidays are going great. Today, let's talk about racist eugenics, digestive process and masturbation. Why not? And how it all relates to Corn Flakes. You think I jest? No. Nice Mr. Kellogg from Battle Creek, Michigan wanted to racially, eugenically increase the health of white Americans who were eating a traditional breakfast of meat and potatoes, as we do in Britain. A cooked breakfast, bacon, eggs, sausage. Yeah, delicious. Because he thought a good digestive system. Oh, by the way, Christmas sweater. Thank you, alpacas from Bolivia. But back to cornflakes. Mr. Kellogg thought that eating high fiber was good for the health of his nation, the United States, the white people, and it would stop boys, because girls didn't do it, masturbating. I've never really understood why a teenage boy's sexual desire would be subdued by eating a bowl of cornflakes. Duh. Anywho, he started force feeding in his sanatorium of white people in Michigan with an unhealthy diet, high fiber grains, and they hated it. But the story goes that a nurse in his sanatorium put milk on the grains and softened them, and they became almost acceptable. And then something happened that changed Mr. Kellogg's life, and you will learn in a minute how it changed mine. Luck. At the beginning of the 20th century, more and more Americans were living in cities, working in factories, and didn't have time to cook a cooked breakfast. So a bowl of cereal was an easy way to start the day. Maybe it had side benefits, who knows? And that was just incredibly lucky. Good timing. The feedback to the growing Kellogg company was that humans preferred cereal that was slightly sweet. Corn is sweeter than bran. So to increase sales, Kellogg's increased the sugar content, either natural or sprinkling it on cereal to make it more palatable. By the 1950s, they came up with this devilish plan to actually sprinkle corn flakes with white sugar and produced Frosties. Here's the French box. I love Frosties. Who doesn't? There must be a couple of tablespoons of sugar in your breakfast cereal every day. But what happened next is counterintuitive. Such a great word. What's this? It's a box, a cereal box. It's almost the same size as a sheet of paper. It became the billboard, advertises highest revenue item with both branding on the front and an advert on the back. My childhood was spent reading the back of cereal boxes, the iPad of 1965. And that leads me to my personal story of luck. My favorite cereal is Weetabix. Weetabix is well known for having competitions and prizes on their box. The best one was the cutout Weetabix lorry. I had a whole selection of them. Where are they today, I asked. But my life was transformed. Literally, me today was changed by a box of Weetabix with the most incredible toy on the back. Can you imagine me, 6-year-old's dream, a train set and a slot car racing set that interfaced? You could drive the car onto the train, take the cars round the train track, drive off on another ramp, and go on your holidays. Motor rail in a toy. But what happened next changed my life. It was a competition, and there was quite a difficult question that I, as a 6-year-old, a smarty pants who read books and went to the library, knew the answer. And the tie-breaking question. I like Weetabix because ... I answered the question, cut it out. My mum and I put it in an envelope and we posted it, I think, to Kettering, the Weetabix headquarters. And I waited to win my train set. Days and weeks went by. I met the postman. No big box. I waited for the envelope saying, "You're the winner. You answered the question correctly." Months went by and eventually I talked to my mum about it, and what she explained to me changed my life. It taught me about society, luck, and politics. What she told me was there's possibly other kids out there who also knew the answer, who are just as smart as you are, Simon. Oh, your correct answer was put into a hat with all the other children's correct answers, and one was picked by luck. But I answered the question. And it was a wake-up call for me as a 6-year-old to realize that there's smarter people out there, and sometimes their luck is better than mine. But now I'm going to tell you about my dad and secret cruise missiles in Machrihanish and how that relates to Weetabix. You notice that I've cleverly sidestepped the wanking subject. Anyway, cruise missiles in Kintyre. So my Secret Service government official dad, when he wasn't working at Machrihanish, had to drive up and down the length of Kintyre. Now, Kintyre is a peninsula, and there's one road that goes from Campbelltown all the way to Glasgow, and it's a very winding road. But in the Cold War days of Reagan and Thatcherism, millions of pounds were spent in upgrading that road as an A route, a red road for the military that led from Faslane Nuclear Base to secret Machrihanish for large vehicles with cruise missiles on. For 2 or 3 years, millions were spent straightening and strengthening the road, and my dad had to drive up that road every single day with temporary traffic lights. Yeah, every few miles there was a temporary traffic light. But before we get onto the random happenstance of a red or a green light, let me explain my dad's slightly maverick thoughts. He knew that millions were being spent as a military project on this road, and he complained, probably to the Thatcher government, definitely to the Strathclyde Council, that he thought it was a waste of taxpayers' money. They disagreed with him. Secretly, I think they were building an alternative cruise missile base. The secret superpower of a cruise missile is it's mobile, so it needs to drive up a heavy road in a convoy, the missile, the launcher, the security, and then turn off the road into a clearing in the forest and fire them to Russia. And that's exactly what they were building. To this day, you can drive down this wide, heavy-duty road with wee turn-offs into forests that end in nowhere. Why? So as my dad's writing campaign intensified to the council and they got more peed off with him, my dad was convinced that the temporary traffic lights were biased against him, that there was a wee man hiding behind a rock that saw his car and changed the lights to red because he expected the lights to be 50-50, green or red. And he kept a log, an HMSO, Her Majesty Stationery Office, little booklet with an HMSO pencil where he wrote down red or green. And statistically, he was right. He got way more reds than he thought he deserved. So out on a hillside walk with him one day, he was ranting to me about how they were tipping the balance to make him have more red lights and how the world wasn't fair. And that reminded me of Weetabix competition. Thinking back to why I didn't win the train set, I remembered that the world isn't a level playing field, that luck and chance are very important. But you're all screaming at your screens. You know why my dad got more red lights than green, don't you? It's very easy, and it's something that he hadn't considered. When doing roadworks, you actually want a time when there's no cars going in either direction to move equipment, drive across the carriageway, or actually do some work. And also, there's always going to be a period where both lights are red to let the traffic who are in the one-way system get actually through it before the second one turns to green. So you're going to have, statistically, not 50-50, but actually far more red lights than green. Using my hard-learned Weetabix logic, I explained this to my dad, who didn't accept my premise, and lived his life in this utopian dream of a level playing field and 50-50 luck. That just isn't true because of Weetabix.